Before James Harden became an MVP and one of the most unstoppable scorers in NBA history, few believed he'd even make it to the league. Born and raised in Compton, California, during the violent 90s, Harden's journey to the NBA was anything but easy. His mother, after multiple miscarriages, called him lucky, a name that seemed fitting considering the odds he overcame. As a kid, Harden battled asthma and had a serious love for fast food, often making him one of the slowest and least conditioned players on the court. But what he lacked in physical gifts early on, he made up for with a love for the game. Basketball became Harden's escape from the dangers of street life, and his obsession with improving helped him become a deadly shooter and a crafty ball handler. As he grew, eventually reaching 6 feet 6 inches, his game exploded. By his senior year of high school, Harden was a McDonald's All-American, one of the top recruits in the country. At Arizona State, he quickly made his mark. In just his sophomore season, he averaged 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists, earning him the Pac-10 Player of the Year and First-Team All-American honors. Still, NBA scouts weren't convinced. He looked a little pudgy and wasn't considered a top-tier athlete. But all that changed after he dominated at the NBA Draft Combine, where his agility and basketball IQ stood out. In the 2009 NBA Draft, Harden was selected 3rd overall by the Oklahoma City Thunder, joining a young and promising team that already had Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and Serge Ibaka. Unlike most top picks who go to rebuilding teams, Harden landed on a squad ready to compete. By his 3rd season, coming off the bench, Harden was torching second units and averaging 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists, earning him the 6th Man of the Year award. His crafty style and left-handed flair drew comparisons to Manu Ginobili. That season, OKC made a deep playoff run, reaching the 2012 NBA Finals after dominating the Western Conference. But when they got there, they weren't ready. The Thunder lost to LeBron James and the Miami Heat in 5 games, and Harden's performance took most of the blame. He struggled badly both offensively and defensively. The media quickly labeled him a choker, ignoring the fact that he was still only 22 years old, playing behind 2 ball-dominant stars in Durant and Westbrook. Despite the loss, everyone believed the Thunder's core would become a dynasty. But in a shocking twist, team ownership wasn't willing to pay the luxury tax to keep Harden. He asked for a modest raise, $60 million over 4 years, but OKC only offered $55 million. Just like that, the Thunder chose finances over future rings. GM Sam Presti made one of the most criticized moves in NBA history by trading Harden to the Houston Rockets for pennies on the dollar. Most people thought Harden was just a great 6th man, not someone who could lead a team. But in Houston, that narrative would change very quickly. When James Harden landed in Houston, he wasn't just switching teams. He was about to change his entire legacy. A lot of people still doubted him. To many, he was just a flashy 6th man who had choked in the finals. But it took just one game to flip the script. In his Rockets debut, Harden exploded for 37 points, 12 assists, 6 rebounds, and 4 steals in a win over the Pistons. 2 days later, he dropped 45 points on the Hawks. In just 2 games, he had scored 82 points, more than any player in NBA history during their first 2 games with a new team. The critics? Silenced. Coach Kevin McHale gave Harden something he never had in OKC: freedom. He had the ultimate green light, full control of the offense. With that trust, Harden started crafting one of the deadliest offensive arsenals the league had ever seen. In his first season as a Rocket, he averaged 26 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds, earning his first All-Star selection and leading Houston to the playoffs for the first time in 4 years. In 2014, the Rockets added Dwight Howard, a former All-NBA center. It looked like a powerhouse duo on paper, a dynamic guard and a dominant big man. But in reality, they never meshed. Harden wanted a fast-paced offense, constant pick-and-rolls, and quick threes. Dwight? He wanted post touches and to be treated like a franchise player. The chemistry was off from day one. Harden, however, didn't let it slow him down. He kept evolving. His Euro step, once clumsy, became smooth and deadly. He turned drawing fouls into an art form, baiting defenders into contact, then throwing his arms up for the whistle. It was controversial, even annoying to some fans, but incredibly effective. By 2015, Harden had mastered the offensive game. He was named first-team All-NBA and finished second in MVP voting behind Steph Curry. But his peers believed he was the real MVP. The Players Association voted Harden as their pick. Even though the Rockets made it to the Western Conference Finals that year, the writing was on the wall. The Harden-Howard experiment wasn't working. The team was dysfunctional, and by the 2016 season, it all collapsed. The Rockets were bounced in the first round, and Harden and Dwight weren't even speaking to each other. Houston needed a reset, and that reset came in the form of head coach Mike D'Antoni. D'Antoni brought something new to the table: a fast-paced, 3-point heavy offense designed around efficiency, speed, and space. the perfect system for Harden's skill set. Even more game-changing, D'Antoni made Harden the full-time point guard, running the entire offense through him. And the results? Unreal. Harden's usage rate skyrocketed. He started racking up triple-doubles like it was a video game. On December 31st, 2016, Harden recorded 53 points, 17 assists, and 16 rebounds in a single game, the first 50-15-15 stat line in NBA history. Just a month later, he dropped 51 points, 13 rebounds, and 13 assists. He finished the regular season with 22 triple-doubles and became the first player ever with 2,000+ points, 900+ assists, and 600+ rebounds in a single season. He led the league in assists, 11.2 per game, and finished second in scoring. Once again, Harden was runner-up for MVP, this time losing to Russell Westbrook, who averaged a triple-double. But stats aside, Harden was evolving into something much bigger, a one-man defensive system. A player who could score, pass, read defenses, and control the tempo of an entire game, all while taking the most efficient shots on the court. The Harden era in Houston wasn't just about big numbers. It was about changing how basketball was played. And the best was still to come. By 2017, James Harden had reached another level. He wasn't just a star anymore, he was a full-blown offensive machine, tearing apart defenses every night. And with Mike D'Antoni's three-point-heavy system in full effect, Houston became one of the most dangerous teams in the NBA. The Rockets weren't just shooting threes, they were rewriting the record books. With Harden as the engine, Houston launched an NBA record 3,306 three-pointers in a single season, shattering the previous high by over 700 attempts. It was run-and-gun basketball like the league had never seen. But something was still missing, a deep playoff run and that elusive MVP award. That offseason, Houston made a move that shook the league. They traded for Chris Paul, pairing Harden with another elite playmaker. Most analysts were skeptical. Both players were ball-dominant. Could they actually coexist? Would Harden's numbers suffer? The answer was loud and clear. They thrived. Chris Paul helped take pressure off Harden, allowing him to focus more on scoring and even playing better defense. Meanwhile, Harden still controlled the offense when needed and continued to dominate. He dropped 60 points in a triple-double against the Magic, the first time in NBA history anyone had done that. It wasn't a one-man show anymore, but Harden was still the star. The Rockets finished the 2018 season with the best record in franchise history, 65 wins, and the #1 seed in the West. Harden finally got the recognition he deserved. He won his first MVP, averaging 30.4 points per game and leading the league in scoring. Everything was aligning perfectly. Houston stormed through the playoffs and earned a showdown with the defending champion Golden State Warriors, the league's ultimate super team. But here's the twist. After 5 games, the Rockets led the series 3-2. They were 1 win away from dethroning the Warriors and going to the finals. Then, disaster. Chris Paul injured his hamstring in Game 5 and was ruled out for the rest of the series. Without their second star, the Rockets collapsed. In Game 7, Houston missed an NBA record 27 consecutive three-pointers. Despite holding an 11-point halftime lead, they couldn't buy a bucket when it mattered most. The Warriors came back, won the game, and crushed Houston's dreams. Harden had finally reached the mountaintop, only to watch it fall apart from under him. Still, he was named the league MVP, finally getting credit for the dominance he had shown over multiple seasons. But while the 2018 season ended in heartbreak, the next year would test Harden in a completely different way. The 2019 Rockets lost key defensive players like Trevor Ariza and Luc Mbah a Moute, replacing them with an aging Carmelo Anthony. The team's chemistry tanked. The defense leaked like a sinking ship. Then Chris Paul went down with another injury. By December, the Rockets had an 11-15 record, and their season looked doomed. That's when James Harden went ballistic. He responded with one of the greatest scoring stretches in modern NBA history. Harden scored 30 or more points in 32 straight games. In 18 of those, he dropped 40+. In 4 games, he had 50 or more. He even dropped 61 points at Madison Square Garden, one of the most iconic performances of the decade. At one point, he averaged 52 points over 5 games. No one could stop him. Step-back threes, Euro steps, drives, fouls, he had it all. He was a one-man wrecking crew. Harden finished the 2019 season averaging 36.1 points, 7.5 assists, and 6.6 rebounds, numbers only matched in history by Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, and Elgin Baylor. But maybe the most impressive part? He revolutionized offense again, this time with a step-back three-pointer. Defenders were so afraid of it, they started guarding him from behind, just to prevent the shot. More than 60% of Harden's shots were from beyond the arc, and his accuracy and creativity with it were unlike anything the league had ever seen. Harden had transformed from an elite scorer into a basketball innovator. His ISO-heavy offense didn't just work, it won games. The Rockets rallied from that horrible start and secured home court advantage for the playoffs. But the story had a familiar ending. In the second round, they once again ran into the Warriors. And once again, they fell short, despite Harden averaging 35 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds in the series. Another MVP-level season. Another playoff heartbreak. And to make matters worse, Giannis Antetokounmpo won the MVP, leaving Harden's historic run without a trophy. It was clear by now, Harden's peak years were producing numbers we may never see again, but the playoff success just wouldn't follow. By the end of the 2019 season, one thing was undeniable: James Harden had built one of the most dominant primes in NBA history. His game wasn't just effective, it was revolutionary. He had redefined how modern offense was played, and even how it was officiated. But as the seasons went on, so did the criticism. Fans and analysts started to notice the same patterns: brilliant regular seasons, eye-popping stats, but the same disappointing playoff exits. Harden, once praised as a savior in Houston, began to wear the label of someone who couldn't get it done when it mattered most. Still, the numbers told a different story. Harden had become an offensive system in himself. When he drove left, which he did about 80% of the time, defenders knew it was coming. But it didn't matter. His ability to control pace, keep defenders guessing with hesitations, head fakes, and sudden bursts of speed made him almost unguardable. His strength allowed him to absorb contact, while his footwork was elite. And even when defenses collapsed on him, he always had a red. Lob it to Clint Capella, swing it to PJ Tucker in the corner, or dish it to Eric Gordon curling off a screen. This wasn't selfish ball, it was hyper-efficient offense built around one man. And it worked. Yet no matter how good Harden was, there were always questions about his play style. He drew more fouls than anyone. Some called it smart, others called it manipulation. He held the ball longer than anyone. Some saw it as leadership, others saw it as ball hogging. And while he had his moments defensively, critics often pointed out his lapses, especially in transition or when off the ball. Then there was his off-court reputation: late nights, clubs, distractions. Whether fair or not, the perception stuck. And perception, in sports, often becomes reality. As the 2020s began, injuries, chemistry issues, and organizational frustration boiled over. Harden's relationship with the Rockets soured. He eventually forced his way out, leading to stops in Brooklyn, then Philadelphia, and later the Clippers. He still flashed brilliance, crafty passes, step-backs, playmaking magic, but he was no longer the same player who once led the league in scoring 3 straight years. But here's the truth most fans ignore: prime James Harden was historic. From 2015 to 2019, he was in a class of his own. Multiple scoring titles, an MVP, an NBA record for unassisted points. The only player besides LeBron who ran an entire offense through himself, scoring, assisting, and controlling the tempo every second he was on the floor. And his impact wasn't just statistical. Harden changed the way the game was played. Teams had to develop new defensive schemes just for him. Coaches altered rotations. Referees debated how to whistle his moves. And young players across the league began copying his step back, his foul baiting, even his hesitation dribbles. In terms of pure offensive influence, only a handful of players in history, Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, can say they truly bent the game to their will the way Harden did. But still, one thing remained out of reach: a championship. When it counted most, deep in the playoffs, Harden often came up short. Sometimes it was bad luck, injuries to teammates, cold shooting nights. Other times it was on him: poor decision-making, passive play, vanishing in big moments. And that's the paradox of James Harden's legacy. He was too good to ignore, yet too flawed to fully embrace. And because of that, he's never been a fan favorite. He flopped. He dribbled too much. He played the game his way, not the way the fans liked. But make no mistake, James Harden changed basketball. Even if you never liked watching him play, even if you rooted against him, you have to respect what he accomplished. Because out of all the shooting guards in NBA history, only Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Dwayne Wade had better careers. And that makes James Harden's prime, love it or hate it, one of the greatest runs the game has ever seen.